world.
It's not just that, James. I'm going to say this bluntly, and I'm going to get some mail again. But you know what? A lot of people don't know how to take care of themselves. So if we lose our power, that means the stores aren't going to get food. Where are they going to get their food at? Where are they going to get their water? Because the water is not going to be pumping anymore from the city, is it? So you're not going to turn your faucet on and get water. Okay, we have the, what do you call that? Nuclear reactors that generate electricity in a lot of cities and states. Well, their generators are going to run out of fuel after about a week. What's going to happen there? I mean, we're setting ourselves up for a major, major problem. Yet, but this government thinks building the wall or spending our money other places is more important than fixing our grid system. Now, I know a lot of people want to go to Mars. They want to go back to the moon, but that money should be used to to work on our grid system, because as a society, we'll collapse within a matter of days if we don't have electricity. And it's crazy and ludicrous what is going on. I mean, seriously, I don't understand what's wrong with the Congress and the Senate. You know, they just, well, that's a lot of money to spend and people won't want to spend it. Well, you know what? Well, sending somebody up to Mars on a one-way trip is ludicrous too right now, because we really aren't there with the technology. Seriously, we're not quite there yet. We're probably at least another 20 years off from really doing it the right way and developing, motors in these spaceships that can actually, get there at a logical speed and come back. So if something happens, they can come back and return, not a one-way trip. But the money being spent for all this crap is just totally asinine. And I don't understand why everybody is so involved with an impeachment thing when we should be looking at our economy is about ready to implode here. And it's so close to it. Some of the biggest bank in Germany is about ready to collapse. When that bank collapses, it's going to be a ripple effect around the whole world. And it's going to cause a whole bunch of other banks to collapse. And it's also going to maybe be the end of our monetary system, even in our own country.
Wow, now that right there is scary. That could have just as bad effects as no electricity or anything for a while either. People don't realize these things. And as far as electricity goes, the only ones that's going to be prepared for it is the Amish. They're already prepared for it. But regular people, they don't, like you said, they don't know how to survive without that stuff, especially modern people born that are young people. I grew up in the woods in the 60s and 70s, so I know how to survive, but a lot of people don't. And even the ones that know how to survive, that's not an easy living. You've got to work out all day, every day to provide for yourself, So, yeah, all these things are, boy, I'll tell you, it makes you not sleep very good at night if you keep thinking about them. But we do need to focus that money on the grid system. I agree 100%.
Well, we need to do it now than later, and I don't understand why we just, every year, it gets brought up to Congress, okay? And it just kind of gets pushed off to the side. We need to really work on certain things, because you know what? What if we got not just that, our monetaries, everything would collapse. You couldn't go get any money from the banks because there won't be any banks left. The ATM isn't going to give you any money. I mean, society as we know it, either you're going to be trading off gold, silver, your wife for money or for food, because that's the way it's going to come down to it. I hate to say it. And those three things.
Oh, yeah, water is going to be the big currency. And here's the ironic part of all this. All those government officials, congressmen, governors, president, senators, whatever, you name them, they're all going to be out of jobs. So why wouldn't they be focusing on something that would have job security? Because they're not going to be having no jobs. They're not going to have no money just like everybody else. Even if they had money, it's no good, because unless they're sitting on gallons of water or food, that's what's going to be worth something.
Yeah, well, how much gallons of water are you going to have, unless you got a well? And how much food are you going to have? You're going to have 4 to 10 years worth of food? I don't think so. So we're going to have mass starvation. We're going to have people dying in nursing homes, people dying in hospitals. I mean, it's going to take, even our medical, it's going to take us back to primitive days. It is scary what is going on. But I'm just a talk show host, so does it really matter what I voice my opinion on?
Well, here's another thing, and these are facts that I speak of, and you can look these things up. All this kind of stuff breeds diseases and epidemics. It just does. Anytime you've got anything like that, you always have other epidemics or diseases come popping up, and then that starts wiping out people. And that it's very stressful for human beings, and it could be avoided. It could at least be prepared for it, like you're saying. Allocate some money toward this grid system. Even if they started now, put so much away every year for it, just to be prepared for it, instead of just, because when it happens, just forget it. I don't even think we'd ever recover. Actually,
I don't. Now, do you have another news thing? We got a couple minutes yet to kill.
Yeah, also with the what comes with melting of the Arctic ice, they're saying it may cause, and we've touched on this a couple times, may cause some deadly viruses to spread among the marine mammals. So in other words, we've talked about this before. There could be viruses that have laid dormant for thousands of years. And now, with this melting, especially going into the ocean, it could spread to marine mammals and fish and stuff. And it's just a matter of time before it gets to the human beings. And Lord knows, I mean, any one of those could wipe half the population out. Oh, yeah. I mean, think about it.
You're absolutely right about that.
It's scary. And another thing, along with this grid thing we're talking about is, and I've seen some stuff today, I think you might have seen it too, is the FEMA stuff. Like they're trying to hide things. They've got all these extra coffins and all this other stuff. I mean, what are they prepared for? That's kind of scary. Did you see some of that today?
Well, what have I been preaching to you and to the listeners? I've been saying that FEMA has massive thousands of tens of thousands of, disposable caskets just waiting. Why did they purchase all those caskets?
Yeah, and then they try to hide them sometimes from view and stuff. And that, when people do that, that has nefarious overtones to it. When you're trying to hide and stuff. And then it's not because they want to not scare people. It's because they are scaring people. Just the fact of having all that stuff tells you that they know. Now, here's the ironic part: they're prepared for that, but why not put that money and allocate it to help the grid system, have a backup system? You know what I mean? It's, focus on fixing the problem, not putting a Band-Aid on it. It just doesn't make sense. None of it does.
Well, what FEMA does is doesn't even put a Band-Aid on it. They're just prepared for massive death. Maybe some type of disease that takes out a huge part of the population. Maybe they're getting prepared. Jesse did this thing, the former governor of Minnesota, one of the shows he had. They went up to a FEMA camp, and they noticed tens of thousands of coffins in the back of this FEMA camp, stacked up, and they actually photographed it and broadcast it on, I think Fox carried that show, and they broadcast it, and then like the next day, they were all gone. I mean, they must have brought their semi-trucks and then loaded out them like you wouldn't believe. Where did they put them?
I know. I've seen that episode. Absolutely. I love that show. And it kind of reminds me with those incidents where, there's been, whoops, I hit my head there. There's been incidents where UFOs come down and remove the whole road overnight. I mean, whoever did this, they must work for the same agency, because they came and all them coffins. That's a lot of massive body of material to just overnight remove and hide. So, they're quick to do that, but not quick to to put money aside to help fix this problem instead of hiding what they're going to do when the problems happen.
Well, I don't know. Society has really gotten to... A person back 10 years ago could retire at 62 and live off of it. And then it was 65. Well, you can't live off of, if you retire at 65. And you can't live now at 67. They're actually wanting people to start their retirement at 70.
Yeah.
And
as a matter of fact...
But there's a reason. Because at 70, statistically, a male isn't going to live much more past that.
No, I think 72, maybe 2 more years. I mean, I may be off of my stats, but I know at one time it was that. I haven't checked the stats lately on that, but you're right. That's why they do it. So it's all about the money. So it's like if you have to retire at 70, they figure the average male, say it's 2 years, they've only got 2 years to deal with you, and then it's cut off. So yeah, it's all about the money and that kind of shenanigans. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what the scary part is, because, too, is, well, yeah, they say if you wait to 70 years old, you're going to get this much more a month, which is actually quite a bit. But if you were to start taking it at 65 and you live to 72 or 74, you're going to pull out a lot more money from Social Security than if you wait like the last 2-3 years of your life. Yeah, you might get a bigger check each month that helps you live, but you had to put all this extra sweat in. What are you going to do? Be working as a greeter at Walmart? I don't know. It's just getting crazy out here.
It is. And speaking of Walmart, yeah, there's plenty of people there at 70, 80 years old, and I feel sorry for them. It's like, what the heck, And you can tell some of them, they're broken down, man. They shouldn't have to be working like that. And not only that, you're competing with every year, a younger generation coming out from high school and colleges wanting to get jobs. So the average laborer, they're not, or the owner of companies or whatever, they're not going to, usually going to want to hire younger people. Usually, you would think. So it's not like it's a big job market for people at 70 years old out there, I wouldn't think.
Not as many as they are. Somebody 18 and 19, and a lot of those are having a hard time getting a job. They said that the job market has really improved, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I know you've touched on that a lot. And, with the cost of living, especially on the East Coast or West Coast where you live, I know that House A here, where I live in the Midwest, and compared to House A, same type house on the East Coast, West Coast, the cost of living in that house could be dramatic. I mean, we're talking thousands to hundreds of dollars. I don't know how people make it on the coast, where higher living is. And, if you're going to a place and you only make a minimum wage, I don't know how people make ends meet. I just don't.
They don't. That's the whole problem. I have a couple of sons that are, back home, and they move back home because, you know what? Even if you make $16 an hour or $17 an hour, you go rent a house or apartment. Up around here, a one-bedroom apartment is going to be around $13 to $14.50 a month. Then you add your electricity on it. Then you add your garbage onto it. So you're roughly looking around $1,700 a month for an apartment. A dumpy house around here is about $1,900 a month. So, I mean, how can you afford to, unless you're making $25 an hour, you can't really afford to live. That's either you get roommates or you get married and you both work. That's the only way to do it.
Right, because, also allocated in all these bills is your electric, water, cable, phone, your garbage, sewer, your car payments, your insurances for house or your insurance for your car. Then you got food. So, you're well over $2,000. That's a low ball figure. And it's hard to make. I don't know how they do it. I just don't.
Well, where you live, what is your average rental price?
House I live right now it's about close to $500, but this same house on the East Coast would be $1,200-1,500 easy. Same house, same size. That's what I mean. But I live in the Midwest. It's a little bit cheaper cost of living, but it's still 500. That's crazy. I remember 20 years ago it was maybe a couple hundred. It really went up.
I don't know. It's really scary. The weather too. I'm hearing about snowstorms starting to hit on the East Coast and Midwest.
Oh, listen, I'm lucky. I live just below the snow belt, and because up near Cleveland, all the way over across to Buffalo, they're calling for up to 6 inches in that storm. Now, we might get 1 to 3 overnight here, but it's going to be a little around 13 degrees. So, it's going to be a cold one.
Well, it's going to be a real cold one this year. I mean, that's the whole point about this global warming. People think, oh, gee, well, this winter is going to be warm. What happens is the whole seasons get screwed up. So, instead of having a hot summer, you might have a yucky summer or a warm winter. I mean, it's no saying, but all I can say is a lot of weird things are going on. Well, we need to be on our break here in about a minute. When we come back, we're going to have Douglas on talking about American conspiracies and cover-ups. And he'll be on here right at 7:02 Pacific Time on Night Dreams Talk Radio. We'll be back.